coronavirus.
There are fears a rapidly spreading virus has reached Australia.
This is a rapidly emerging situation where there is not a cause for alarm.
The first US case has been detected.
There's confirmation the coronavirus has reached Australia.
China is urging its citizens not to travel abroad as it struggles to contain the virus.
We'll be standing up Christmas Island as a quarantine area.
Foreign nationals coming from China are now banned from entering the country.
Of the SARS outbreak 17 years ago.
We now have a name for the disease, COVID-19.
I was at a hospital the other night where I think there were actually a few coronavirus patients, and I shook hands with everybody.
The Italian government tonight put the entire country on lockdown.
COVID-19 can be characterized as
The idea started, I guess, like at least from my perspective, was I started talking to Nicholas, or he mentioned to me like maybe we should do something together at one point. You know, it would be fun. We were exchanging like tips about new records and festivals and shows and bands that we liked, and it was like, yeah, it would be great to somehow do something together.
I mean, I always met Michael and we always talked music, bands and albums, vinyls, but I think the first little seed came from the train back home from Stockholm after a Grammy nomination ceremony.
But then you asked me, it's like, yeah, actually, seriously, we should do something. All right, like what should it be, And then I was intrigued, like what could this be? What could we make of it? I know that Nicholas was writing a lot of songs, and then he mentioned, or you mentioned that like you and Daniel were on board as well, and I was like, wow, this is kind of like the old days again, And that was intriguing.
We talked it through, and I was like, yes, let's just play some music again. Just have fun. Maybe we should talk to the wizard, the magician, Jesper, and see if he's up to the idea. We had the first writing session at Peter's place. He had some ideas which I wanted to hear about, which turned into songs. We got one song called Gateways. Peter made an intro to that, was really, really cool, haunting kind of vibe, which I later on added more stuff to.
When the songs were written, it was a little different. A lot of
A lot of stuff happened in the studio. A song could be written by Niklas, for instance, and then Daniel would come in and rearrange it. And some parts were written by me, and then somebody else would rearrange. I mean, the whole thing with this whole project is that no matter who writes the actual riffs, everybody has their, can go in and fiddle about with the song and change it to, the way that they feel is better. Everybody's ideas counts, which is a first for me, definitely, and it's really a cool way of working.
From my perspective, I've like gotten like completed songs. Like, oh, this is like a demo of a song, and for me, it doesn't really matter who wrote or this or that. But I just kind of try to do my thing over it. But from what we've done here, like in the studio, where Jesper has kind of changed stuff and come up with new stuff that Niklas started on, and stuff that you wrote that Niklas has kind of adapted onto his stuff. And Daniel's kind of like influenced how when he plays that he wants a different rhythm and he wants a different kind of structure to some songs. So there's been a lot of changes from the initial demos that we did, like up till now to the actual recording. So it's been really cool that everybody has been like a big part of every single song, basically.
I think we've been in the studio for almost a year in total. So it's been a living project. And since the project has been so long, there have been a lot of changes during the way. Lots of tweaking on the songs, and it's been a different way of working, and I think it's been really cool, because usually you have 2 weeks as a drummer, you have 2 weeks in the studio, you have to record these 14 songs. Now! Do it! And then the first 4 or 5 songs, you enjoy, and then the last 4 songs is just agony, because you have to reinvent the wheel doing cool stuff. So this time it's been more laid back, and it's been very enjoyable.
In the car on my way to the studio. It's actually snowing in Sweden, in Gothenburg. Can't turn this around, so you're stuck with my face. Or I can do like this, I guess. You can hear the drumming. Yes. Create.
I'm Oscar Nilsson, mixer, producer, owner of Create Studios, and we're just finishing up the Halo Effect album. From high school and beyond, basically, I've been listening to In Flames and Dark Tranquillity, At the Gates, Angle as well, and then I got to know like these guys through work, basically. Hanging with them backstage, and since I knew Niklas, and then through my studio and the stuff I do here, get to know them as friends, and then now be able to work with them. It's quite insane.
I first heard about the definition Gothenburg sound probably like late 95, early 96 when we started touring. I heard it from journalists, I heard it from fans, and it was weird. Like I didn't really get what they were talking about. I was like, okay, so you mean, the sound that comes out of Studio Fredman maybe, because Just the Race had just come out and Slaughter of the Soul At the Gates had just come out. So 3 albums, all recorded in the same studio. So obviously there was a similarity, but I didn't think they sounded anything like each other, or the same. So it felt kind of weird, but they were like, no. I mean, the bands are just all this melodic death metal stuff, and it's very similar. It's like, is it though? I couldn't really see it, obviously, because we were so into our own stuff. So it was very strange, and it felt like an insult at first. Like, wait, come on, like we don't sound anything like, you know. The whole point is to be original and be different.
I remember it really clearly. I was in Stockholm. I went to the awesome store Sound Pollution to check out what's new, and they had this, here we got the new At the Gates. It just came last week. Wow, because I had bought the EP that came before, Terminal Spirit Disease. And I liked the melody, how they blended the melody into these technical thrashy stuff. All right, okay, I will take a listen. It was really cool artwork made by Bullen, Christian Wåhlin, Necrolord. And I put it on. And it was like, my God, this is mind-blowing. Excuse me, is this the right CD? Can you check it out? Yeah, it's At the Gate. All right, can I have 5 of those? It was amazing. To me, it was open doors to something else. It was like hearing Sepultura, Beneath the Remains, or Morbid Angel, Authors of Madness all over again with At the Gate, Slaughter of the Soul. That was really important.
But I mean, all these, the Gothenburg sound era, or all the bands that started that thing even before I was in the band and everything, Rain in Flames, they all played together.
So I remember coming home like after a tour in '97, after we done the Mind's Eye and we toured a lot for that. We were like, we don't want to be a part of this. We want to prove to everyone that we are different and we're not just, you know, a Gothenburg sounding death metal band. So we started writing songs that were totally different. Just because of that, because we wanted to get away from that label and that kind of pigeonholing, you know, in a way. Because it just, I don't know, for some reason it didn't feel right. Because the whole idea was to not be part of anything, to be an individual and be your own kind of entity. I don't really feel like that anymore, obviously, because I totally get that, I see it, but I just couldn't at the time, you know, when we were young and so full of these ideas and that, you know, all this kind of strong feelings about identity and integrity, you know. But of course, I could see it as it being a compliment now, and it's a sign of quality. That's what I feel.
When Jesper took his hiatus from the touring, as he started with in 2009, I think, Niklas, we called Niklas up because we knew him obviously from before, since he joined the band originally at the same time as I did, and asked if he would be so kind to fill in for a tour or two, and until Jesper could get his, you know, feel better.
They were in Japan. I got the phone call from Anders. Hey Niklas, what are you up to? Can you please help us out? We're in a very bad situation. Jesper is falling ill. Can you please replace him? Help us out, please, we beg you. I had to go down to Germany and get to learn the songs. And lucky enough, I played some of the songs before, and I know the way of their way of songwriting. So I had a sense for it, and I could grasp it. All right, let's do this. And Jesper, I think it was a Slayer tour. Jesper played 2 or 3 more shows and then had to leave for home to take care of himself.
That hiatus kept on being, you know, and eventually he left the band in 2010, and Niklas became a permanent member. And I still to this day remember, you know, what a trooper coming in, just learning all these songs with short notice, just being a pal, supporting Jesper, supporting us, and you know, and then so it was just logical. He just kept on playing and became a full-time member of the band. Amazing.
It felt just natural to step in and play with those guys. It just, yeah, they're my friends, for God's sake. Okay, here is how you play this song. All right, let's do it. Felt natural. I met Jesper Strömblad in the 7th grade. And we instantly hooked up because he was a metalhead as me, and he was into Dio, and Iron Maiden, I remember. So actually started the first band called Poltergeist. He was really cool in that sense that he was a little bit more braver than me. At one point I found this new band. He was always into finding new bands and stuff, which was really, really cool. I had this new band, I think they're from Germany, Creator, Endless Pain. We were bouncing on and off on all these records, like, of course, King Diamond. There was this band from Seattle, which I love, called Sanctuary. So we bonded through 7th, 8th, 9th grade and played a lot of music together.
I don't think they ever played together, even before like the real bands, even though they're from the same part of the city. I think they went to the same school, but I don't think they ever played together. So
they went to the same school and had the same like youth center they hung out at, had the same teachers, I guess. Jesper had his different types of band, and I remember him calling up my brother. That's the first time I met Jesper. Because my brother's band, Ceremonial Oath, were playing at Valvet in Gothenburg. It's a classic. I was working as a stagehand or something, just as a way of getting in for free. And Jesper called my brother up, I think. He just found his number somewhere. Our name is pretty uncommon, so easy to find, I guess. And I noticed you don't have a bass player. I want to play bass. So he went in and he played bass with Ceremonial, or if maybe it was even like previous band Desecrate or something, but it was an old band. And then eventually moved on to guitar.
Well, I was friends with Peter's brother Anders first. So that was when I was in like 16.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
15, 16. We started hanging out. And then, and at the same time, we kind of started hanging out a little bit as well. But then mostly I think it was when when we moved in kind of next to each other.
Yeah.
97?
97, something like that, yeah.
We were both extremely unemployed, poor. We made our own wine, bought super cheap beer, and listened to a lot of music. And it was the same time.
A lot of movies.
Yeah.
While you could still rent movies, we went to this one place all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody knew each other, but these two guys, Jesper and Niklas, didn't play together, as far as I know, until way later. Now with Halo Effect, it's super cool to see them interact and write music together.
I was thinking like, how do I make this different from what I normally write? What makes this band kind of different, and what does the music kind of evoke in me? Normally I just listen to a song over and over and then just come up with stuff like instinctually and then write something eventually that makes sense. But here I was kind of like trying to reconnect with the feelings I had when I started playing, when I started writing lyrics, and when I started, becoming playing in a band. What was it that kind of made me want to be part of an underground metal scene? Something super obscure that no one else kind of knew about at the time. And what is it that has driven us all these years, kind of to be attached to this kind of music? What is it about it? What is the strength of this kind of music? What is it that drives it, and what is it that keeps us together? So trying to kind of pick up on certain stories, like stuff that I know about you and Jesper, and also kind of have that inspire me as well. So it's about also like how it was to grow up as a weirdo kid, who was into something that no one else understood. Going to school where everybody thought you were just like a freak, because
which is something we both experienced.
Yeah, of
basically
course.
On different.
Yeah, of course. It's something that we've talked a lot about. So it was like I was trying to kind of capture that as well, to just kind of that feeling of being an outsider, but still kind of convinced that everybody else is wrong. They just don't get it.
It's so interesting to hear this, because I've been meaning to ask you about this, because a lot of the lyrics that I hear I can really relate to, and I was.
Yeah. I've been trying to kind of be inspired by kind of our childhood or our upbringing and that kind of stuff, to kind of connect it somewhere. And it's the same like with Niklas, like when we met, like my first ever show was with Niklas's band, so we played together. So I'm thinking like, what was it about that, you know, that made this so special, that made me want to do this for the rest of my life, basically. So, and also like where it could lead, like all the good and the bad, you know, of course. So, so it's about kind of like this youthful rebellion, you know, how to be kind of, who doesn't want to be like everyone else, and trying to find some comfort in that, you know. But there's a lot of songs, but that was kind of like the main theme for me. Try to kind of explore how it felt and what made this our path in life, so to speak. So sometimes the process of writing is that you just have to get angry, like get into that feeling, and just like feel frustrated, and then that's when I write the most, and I write the best stuff for me, you know, more personal stuff. So that's important, you know. It has to mean something, and kind of you have to feel something, at least for me, you know. And it's not always about communication. I mean, it's great when that happens, when someone actually gets it, and you can feel that connection when you're on stage. But more than anything, I just want to get it out of my system, you know, scream about things that it's just like, if I were to carry it around, it would be painful almost, you know. And now if I can write it down and scream about it, it at least makes me feel a little bit better, and I could relax a little bit more.
Working with Jesper at first was adventurous, and I think we clicked right away. And he's such a magician in that way, because if I have done a part, maybe a riffage that leads into the chorus, or a bridge that leads into the chorus, he can just, oh, stop, I got an idea, I got a feeling. Then he just grabs the guitar and just have to put on some of his melodies that just, yeah, it sounds like it's been there forever. My feelings when you look at the members of the Halo Effect, it's like a dream.
It kind of feels like the circle is completed in a way. Since, I mean, as I said, like my first ever show was with like Niklas's band, where we were supporting them. We met when we were 16, 17. Daniel was kind of playing, and he was in my brother's class when we grew up as well. And I met Jesper in the staircase of the first venue we ever played, and where we hung out and traded cassettes. So it's and of course we've had all different paths, and we've done different things throughout these 30 years or so. But coming together like this and kind of recapture that feeling we had when we started has been amazing. And I think that's kind of this full circle feeling that we all have, I think, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And at the same time, like this is just like a beginning of something. But
and I mean, also who I would like to play with now, you know, as kind of a like we talked about before, in a utopia of the perfect band, you know, the perfect members, and I think that this is it. You know, this is like the people that I really would like to play with if I were to go back to a band, and now we have.
And it kind of brings you, I mean, if circumstances would have been different, this would have been a band we started 25 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibility.
No, exactly.
It could have easily happened that way. So it's kind of weird like that. But but that's why it's so much fun to do this now, with all the experience between us. The new head of Nuclear Blast is an old friend of mine who used to work at Central Media that I've been working with for 15 years. So it was kind of a no-brainer. He heard one song.
One demo song and a video to that one. at that point, they hadn't heard the rest of the album.
Which is so cool that they actually believe in us so much. It's fantastic. Grateful for that.
These last 2 years, basically, or year and a half of the pandemic has been just super weird. And we didn't really know what to expect from it, like didn't really know what to do. All of a sudden, like your whole calendar is empty, like everything is canceled. It's been crazy, you know, and devastating for of course, for venues and the entire music industry. In terms of like, as a record collector and a fan of music, I think this will go down in history as a very creative time period. So I'm trying to see the upside, you know, the silver lining, basically.
It's been super weird. I mean, I run restaurants as well, obviously, and we've seen a lot of the stresses. We've seen that because we get a lot of people on tour coming to our restaurant, which is kind of the main reason for why we started it, you know, to have people finding a home away from home. And so we've been... and
also a place where you go before you go to a show.
Yeah, of course.
And after.
And after, yeah. But I mean, so we've been definitely seeing that, you know, nobody's here from no tourists, no bands traveling through and stuff like that. But I'm like you, I want to see the upsides of it and take advantage of the time that we actually got.
As we made this band during a pandemic throughout the world, we hope to bring this band live on tour, on festivals, so you can see us.
No, but I think, and I hope when people listen to it, it will show that there's a lot of love and fun put into this music. We've been doing this for so long, and now we've found the spark again that made us start playing in bands, and I think we found it, and hopefully people can hear it in the music.
The adrenaline rush that I get from being on stage and screaming every night is something that I miss a lot. Like there's something that kind of really keeps me going, that like no matter how shitty of a day you have on a tour, like it could be a miserable place in the darkest part of some country or in a city you never heard of, but then you stand on stage and the crowd is awesome and you feel great, and all of a sudden you get to scream about all that frustration you had all day, or how miserable you feel, or how homesick you are, and all of a sudden you realize why you're doing this. Like it all comes flooding back, and you realize that this is what I want to do. So it's those highs and lows, like the deepest fucking lows and the highest highs, that I love about touring.
I can't wait to play these songs live. Can't wait. It's gonna be, when we finally do it, I know that we will have chosen where the first time will be and stuff like that very carefully, and I can't wait to do that. I don't know if I can stand like this wide apart anymore. I'm too old. We'll see.
I hope you will love this album, because we put so much love and effort into this album, and I hope you will like it, because we will love it. See your happy faces again. I can't wait.